City Talk Fall River, episode 17. How you doing, Derek?
I am awesome. How are you?
Great. Nikki over there.
What's going on?
I want to make sure. I know you don't want to eat the mic, Nikki. So
That's
I'm
okay. All right.
turn it your way so you got that. Yeah, here we are. Fixing up our microphone situation over here. I am going to actually take the link as we speak and share it on Facebook because I got reminded a handful of times in just past 2 seconds to do it. A handful of times in the past 2 seconds. So I'm going to go do that now. Nikki.
Yes.
You had an interesting night last night. Please tell the people.
Indeed. Well, I was a panelist at last night's mayoral debate between Sam Sutter and Jazel Correa.
Not Korea?
Not Korea.
Every time I hear him say it, I'm just like, that's not it. It's like, I don't know.
No, I made an observation. I had the pleasure of sitting next to Jason Caminiti during the event, okay? And he and I were kind of discussing topics as they were being asked questions. We're going back and forth a little bit on things. And I told him myself, I said, look, he's never had a problem saying Bob Correa, ever. Bob Correa is on my transition team. Like, he's had no problem saying Bob Correa. I actually had somebody later on send me a video of him talking about another Correa when he was running for another office years back. He knows how to say Correa.
Mm-hmm.
He says Korea on purpose, by all accounts, which is just, I think, rude, very rude.
I agree.
Go ahead, my friend.
Well, I mean, if he's lived in Fall River for as long as he says he has, that's just something you'd pick up on, I would think, even if it was your accent and you said it wrong. I mean, at this point, he has been corrected. So to say it again at last night's debate was kind of maybe intentional. I can't say whether it was for sure or not, but to me on the outside looking in, it sounds intentional.
The only thing I was more glad on is the fact that he didn't try to mention certain Jazel's old business.
I think he knew that was probably a silly thing for him to do from the last debate. So I'm glad he learned that lesson.
Well, I mean, he did it in the first debate. He didn't learn his lesson, did it in the second debate, and he did it more often in the second debate. And I think whoever is, in his ear, told him, yeah, you better just stop because it's making you look dumb. And it's a desperate. I mean, to me, it just seemed like a desperate attempt to try to stick it to Jazel with this company that he's mispronouncing intentionally, just to kind of throw him in just to throw him down like that. And I'm like, no.
Tell us how you really feel.
I did. I just did.
No, I think that we've seen George Bush do it years ago with Saddam Hussein. He called him, Sodom. You know what I mean? Like, it's a political tool that has been, tried and true for years to demean, way before you and I were ever born, to demean the opponent. So, Nikki, please go back to what you were saying before.
Well, I was just saying we were having a nice discussion. We could keep that flow going. That's the kind of flow that I like.
Well, I actually wanted to hear your perspective because now you've had multiple opportunities to be a moderator.
Well, my perspective from last night's debate, I loved the fact that people were able to clap and to holler. And I know some people who were watching from home thought that it was a little Jerry Springer. I was happy because in past debates, when people are told, please folks, no clapping, it's not fair. Like I felt like in certain debates, certain sides were told at one time or another to quiet down and other people were allowed to go a little bit further. So I think last night, with everybody being allowed to clap, to yell, to whatever,
the fairness was there.
Right. It was better because both sides were able to do that. And then we got to see both sides, which was the great part. Right. It wasn't just one side being squashed down. We got to see both sides do what they do every time.
Exactly.
It's just no one was stopped this time. So that's what I actually appreciated about the debate. I wish I would have gotten to hear what the candidates said a little bit more. The people who were sitting behind me were rather loud. I'm sure it would have been the same way on the other side. I'm sure they couldn't hear either. So I wish everybody would have just had a little more respect to quiet down when they were answering, waited for the claps between answers and whatnot. Because as someone who was on the stage, it was kind of hard for me to hear what they were saying, the candidates were saying.
And your moderator, he made a good point. It's like, hey, if you want to hear your candidate, you may want to cool it down, at least, give them the time to talk before you cheer, So, I mean, at first it was like kind of a free for all. He was letting everybody do it. And then he started to regulate it a little bit in between. So, but at the end of the day, I thought it was the best debate because of the crowd participation overall. So I never understood in the first place why crowd participation would be not just like prohibited, but also like scolded for being emotional.
Right.
Like Will Richmond was scolding the crowd at one point. And then also CJ himself had gone on, social media and scolded the crowd. And to me, I think that if you're trying to prohibit emotion and you're trying to prohibit that type of freedom to express yourself, it goes along the lines of why participation overall in this city is just not there, because they feel as though they don't have a voice, that they don't have an opportunity to express themselves, that they won't see the results of it either.
Well, look at last night, nobody got arrested.
No.
There were no physical altercations. No one was pushed. So to me, that allowing people to get rid of that energy that they're feeling, that adrenaline during the debate, is a good thing.
Right.
It's up to the individual themselves. Like, we need to stop putting that on the moderators. It's up to the individuals themselves. If you don't want to clap and holler, don't clap and holler. If you want to clap and holler, clap and holler. If you're doing it too much and you get removed, that's on you. I mean, it's kind of like, what do you want to hear? Is it more important for you to sit in the crowd and scream when the opponent is talking, or is it more important for you to listen to what the opponent's saying so that you can check into his facts? That's what to be honest, the best part of the debate was the crowd, because the two candidates on stage didn't really say anything more than what I've heard them say.
And if you, the thing, talk about like backing up what you say, there was an interaction during one of the questioning. Oh man,
Which question?
Oh goodness, it was where, will you hold your department heads accountable if they're giving you misinformation? And
false. And I actually
false.
Intentionally put false and inaccurate information.
Okay, false and inaccurate information. We're sticklers for accuracy here. So
I hope so.
So we ended up seeing him. Well, I am. We ended up seeing him go up there. First, it was Jazel said yes, absolutely, and then Sam Sutter also said absolutely, I will. And then Jazel rebutted with, well, you have gotten false information, repeatedly from one of your department heads. And then as soon as he did, Sam Sutter turned around and was like, I'm offended. I'm deeply offended that you would criticize the department head like that. And I'm thinking, you just answered it. Like, your actions spoke louder than your words on that one. He will very likely, if he has a vested interest in keeping that department head, he will not hold that person accountable. And that was a great question. And we got to see that ourselves for what it was worth. Go ahead, Derek.
Especially when Jazel did say something, the facial expression on Sam Sutter was absolutely priceless. Like, how dare you question my department heads? I'm like, did you not listen to the city council meeting on Tuesday? And this is something that me and Nikki talked about, before the show. It was hilarious that he had zero idea what happened the night prior. He had no clue on how much Ken Pacheco got completely grilled.
I definitely don't think he watched that meeting.
No. It was actually to a fault, or not to a fault. It was actually kind of funny to hear Ken Pacheco say, "Hey, I liked the city council meeting prior to this one where I wasn't here." I'm like, nice joke and all, though, but now that you're here, we got questions. Well, it's we being the city council,
and that was one of his responses during questioning about the budget, questioning about the trash issue, and he said he preferred last week's meeting when he wasn't there.
And the reason why that he wasn't there was he was on vacation. But the reason why he also preferred it was because half the questions that they needed to have answered, he was pretty much the only one that could answer it. Thank you, Kathy and Viveris, for making that point, which put the whole thing on the table. Now you take that, and the fact that toward the end of, I believe, Jazel's questioning, or I'm not sure if it was Mayoza's questioning. Actually, I believe it was Mayoza's question, because you saw Ken Pacheco ready to lose his cool, waiting to respond. He said something, he stopped, he bit his tongue, took a breath, and then started the question, the response all over again.
He gathered himself. He was thinking about how he should answer the question regarding who. Well, okay, because we should explain that. Mr. Mayoza, during questioning at the city council meeting, the finance portion of it, questioned Ken Pacheco because he was told, and a city employee supposedly told Mike Mayoza that he was told by Ken Pacheco, or somebody was told, not to issue fines. So Mayoza posed the question to Ken Pacheco. When Ken Pacheco went to answer, he started to answer, but then he stopped and he thought about what he was saying, and he said, "No one told me to stop in 2016. Fiscal 2016. Now, I was at home saying 2016. We just started FY 2016. Just started it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brandy new. It's brand new.
Less than what? It was 3 months.
Right. So when our elected officials are saying, "Oh, it's because people aren't buying bags," and we're trying to say because there is no enforcement piece, there's no way for you to enforce this, and they're saying, "Yes, there is. Yes, there is." And then you find out the director of community maintenance says in that he was told prior to I mean, he may not have used those exact words, but he basically said, "Yeah, somebody told me prior to FY16 not to issue fines." And they let it go.
The way that he responded to that question, it brought me back to when Will Flanagan took his lie detector test. Prior to 2014, were you ever dishonest as a mayor? And he answered no, and of course it was truthful. I mean, the way that he responded, it just brought back those kinds of memories. He's wording it so he could potentially be truthful. So if they had to go back, they could say, "Oh, well, he was right. In 2016, they said he can fine and he's fined." But what I found even more strange is the fact that you have citations that were,
the sun just
you have citations that were
that sun though.
You have citations that were handed out, but were never put into the computer or the system. Ken's reasoning is, well, we don't have access to the computers in the, I guess, the Lewinson Street facility. Okay. You also then have the fact that one was put in. So first of all, who put it in? Who put that one citation into the system? Stop. And what would happen if I had a citation that wasn't in the system and I went to go to the city clerk and I was stupid enough to pay the fine?
Well, Derek, nobody's done that.
I know. But if I was stupid enough to go pay the fine and it wasn't in the system, what would they do?
But nobody's done that.
I understand. But what would they do?
Nobody's done that, though.
I know, but...
do you see how I'm Ken Pacheco?
Yeah, exactly. But what would happen? Nothing.
So if I remember correctly, Jazel kept asking, what are the contingencies?
Yep.
So you're saying, what if? You're using hypothetical, but Jazel didn't use hypothetical. He used the word, what are the contingencies when this doesn't happen? And that's a great way to interject and put in that hypothetical scenario. So I would say to you, in this conversation where she's Ken Pacheco right now, ask it in the way that it can be a productive answer.
What are the contingencies of me going in and trying to pay it and it's not in the system? What would you do? How would you collect my fine?
Last week, it was such a great vacation I had.
Actually, I was waiting for a pin to drop just so we could hear it.
Well, there were
man.
so many pins dropped at the meeting as well. And the reason we're talking about the meeting and the debate, because my question went hand in hand with the information that was given at the city council meeting. So,
And also, Nikki, it also points to what I feel is very important. I'm not 100% entirely sure that our current mayor right now pays a lot of attention to the council meetings. I will say this about Flanagan. He paid attention to those meetings. He was always ready to try to rebut somebody with his argument, even though he was still wrong. He did pay attention to those meetings, actually attended some of those meetings and talked to, people when he was trying to implement
Mhm.
pay as you throw. I don't think Sam Sutter watches a single minute. It just simply doesn't seem that he's in touch with what's going on. And you can see it in those debates. You saw it, I think it was with the Department of Revenue, when he had that document and he showed that document and he said, you submitted this document to the DOR. We talked about it last night at the council meeting. And he's like, what document is that?
when I asked him about when he called into the show and I asked him about the budget, like when I ask him questions, I'm not asking him questions that are like this. None of this is personal. Anything I'm asking is strictly as a resident because I want to know. Like this is stuff that residents, taxpayers should know. So when I said, why is it in the budget that we're budgeting within each department for the water, sewer, CSO, but we're not budgeting for trash, that's something he should have picked up on. If you're the mayor and you're doing the budget, unless I'm wrong, and I mean, I've never been mayor. If the mayor, does the mayor go through the budget himself, or does the mayor pass it off to other people? So that's why I say I don't believe Sam Sutter is actually aware of everything that's going on in the city. And that's scary because he's trusting. We've heard him say on numerous occasions that he's getting the information from other people. You know, I'm getting this information from other people. When are you going to realize that the information you're getting could be wrong?
But then also on our show last week, he was very quick to say on how he prides himself on being accurate.
Right.
Well, how can you be accurate if you, first of all, don't check everything that you get and you're taking it for face value? And if they're wrong, your accuracy means nothing.
Let's piece this together as far as he said he's a stickler for accuracy. Okay. He said that to us on the show last week. He also said, Nikki, you have to understand, I receive my information from other people. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. So let's piece this together. If he's a stickler for accuracy, if he debated last night that he would fire people for giving him false information, okay?
As long as they knowingly gave that information falsely.
How would he even be able to know that that was knowingly done unless he's not paying attention to these meetings and seeing for himself what we all see? Okay, so again, piece it together. Stickler for accuracy, says he will hold people accountable. And then when it's brought to him of what all this information is and where it is, number one, he's unaware of it because then he goes back and puts it on other people. He'll say, I received my information from other people. Well, the person who claims to be stickler for accuracy, then you need to make sure that the information that you're getting from other people is accurate. And if he's watching those meetings, if he's paying attention like we all are, if his head is involved in the game like a mayor's should be, then he would know that this information is not accurate, that this information is frustrating to not just the councilors, but the people watching and listening. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why we're in the mess we're in. We need leadership. We're not getting it right now. Bottom line.
Well, how bad is it when you have 9 sitting city councilors, 9 councilors, and they let Ken Pacheco off the hook? Not one. The enforcement piece to this has been so important. We can't get out of the contract with Waste Zero, blah, blah, blah. The director of community maintenance admitted at a public on-air meeting that he was told prior to 2016 not to fine people not using purple bags. Who told him not to use purple bags? That's something every taxpayer should know. The people who privatized and their tax dollars are still paying for sanitation should want to know who told him not to issue fines. The fact that 9 sitting city councilors did not question that, and Ray actually did question it. It was like, no, never mind, buddy. I could see it's a problem. I'll let you off the hook. How dare you let him off the hook? He's supposed to be accountable for his department.
Mhm.
So if we're not going to hold department heads accountable and we're not going to hold our elected officials accountable, then who the hell outside of residents is accountable? Residents going to keep paying for their mistakes and for their negligence, because that's flat out negligence to me.
Now the other part of that, the coin that, you kind of just brushed up upon it, was you have the potential of taking taxpayer dollars, specifically dollars of taxpayers that do not use public services, does not use the sanitation service, to fund a stabilization account for the sanitation enterprise fund. If I was any one of those residents, I would be at City Hall immediately. I would. I think we're good.
All right, cool.
Well, I would. Well,
Pretty sure I swore on the
That's okay. We're not on
yeah, this is.
Oh,
FRC.
I'm not.
But I would have driven down to City Hall. I would have stood outside of City Council chambers, and I would have waited for that thing to have been over, and I would have demanded accountability, because I believe, and I think Jaisal touched upon it. I don't think it's actually legal to use taxpayer money for something that the city uses. Because
Right.
at that point, wouldn't that just be a tax?
Well, and that's the whole reason that in my opinion, and I've been saying for months and months and months and months about this sanitation enterprise fund, it's a cover up. The sanitation enterprise fund is absolutely a cover up for other people's spending. I'm not sure who's spending the money, who's responsible for the money. I've been trying to get that information, but people aren't really forthcoming. It's all false. Where the things that we're hearing are false. We get a phone call?
No.
Okay, no phone call. Woohoo.
It's just I get my phone gives me messages.
Let's give out the phone number. Maybe that's why we're not having any phone calls. 774.
955.
0533.
So please call in now and give us your opinion on last night's debate.
Or whatever you want.
Right? City council meeting too. Think they go hand in hand.
Nikki, I didn't get a phone call. What it is my phone is letting me know that City Talk Fall River is on right now.
Wow, live?
Yes.
No kidding.
So
We should tune in.
I think that if you have a YouTube application on your phone, and and if you have you saw that text message.
Yes, I did.
Thank you, Adam.
So interactive.
If you have a YouTube application on your phone, and you subscribe to the YouTube channel, all you have to do is search. Once you get your YouTube app, you search City Talk Fall River. Our page will come up and you can subscribe to it. And then when we're on, your phone will actually let you know that you're on. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
What a cheap plug, and I love it.
It's not really a cheap
It
plug.
wasn't a
We
cheap
need
plug.
to plug
It was
the
actually a
show.
good plug because it
Yeah,
was something
I
that was
agree.
new to me. So that's good.
I actually surprised you.
Derek, why are you so negative?
I'm negative.
Negative Nellies
Negative, man.
all over the place.
All right. I don't want to
ahead.
distract you
Okay,
from what
well,
you were. I'm
all right.
sorry.
I know I'm flabbergasted by the whole everybody letting Ken Pacheco off the hook with this whole somebody told me not to fine prior to 2016. I want to know from 9 sitting city councilors why no one cared enough to keep going and get that answer. Now we're right before election time, so if you want my vote, I suggest you guys talk about it. 9 sitting city councilors, 2 of them are actually not running for city council. One's running for charter, the other is running for mayor. They are right now currently sitting city councilors. Nobody questioned Ken Pacheco last night. Nobody went after him. Nobody said, "Wait a minute, that's not
The night
acceptable."
before.
Nobody said that's not acceptable. I want to know who told Ken Pacheco prior to FY16. And we're not even in 2016. We just started the FY16 budget. This program started when? December 2014 or October
I
2014?
believe it was October 2000.
So this is for over a year. We've been complaining about fines not being written. Who told Ken Pacheco not to issue fines prior to FY16? Period. Easy question, needs to be answered. And if not, then Ken Pacheco should not be at his job. Who doesn't give names? When he said, I'm not going to give you any names. So you mean to tell me somebody could have caused Fall River to be sued by Waste Zero because you blatantly admitted it now that you were told not to issue fines? We could be sued and that's not important to you, but fining 2,000 people who aren't using bags are important. Let's be clear on that. What's important and what's not important. Somebody in office who tells you not to issue a fine doesn't matter to the city councilors, but let's find those who can't afford to buy bags. Only 2,000 people, only 10% of the whole program. But that's more important than finding out who told him not to issue fines.
And what's even funnier is the fact that it may be 10% that's not going into that's not purchasing the bags, but our deficit is way larger than 10%.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I want everyone to realize that even if that 10% became compliant, we're still short.
Right.
That is this whole program was based on the contingency that everyone was going to be using the purple bags. We've just determined the fact that Nikki wants to
I do, because
ahead.
it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand because if you recall at the city council meeting when they were discussing who's giving the fines out. So our guys, the guys who are in the trucks, are supposed to be the ones checking and then writing down that data. Mm-hmm. What if they don't feel like it today? In all reality, right? Because I'm going to tell you, I don't use bags. And we haven't gotten not one ticket, not one little note that says, please use purple bags. Not a damn thing.
I believe a certain city council candidate a candidate running for city council also does not use bags. I believe his name is Jordan Sylvia.
Right. And he's actually asked for his fine. He's asked blatantly face to face for a fine and he hasn't gotten it.
Okay. I got a message from somebody. Tell Nikki, Joe Camara.
Joe, huh?
Yeah, your boy Joe.
My boy Joe.
All right, so I'm gonna get into this real quick. Tell Nikki that Joe Camara said it was Flanagan months ago during an interview with Barry.
But I'm not talking about Joe Camara. Nobody brought it up last night when the question was posed to Ken
that's all
Pacheco.
the more reason why Joe Camara could have brought it up, since he was already aware of it.
And not for nothing, like I did say on social media, the easy answer would have been Flanagan. That to me would have been the perfect answer to give. He's not in office. He was recalled. Not many people like him. It's not like he's got a great reputation.
He was deemed not credible in his investigation.
So if they would have just said Flanagan, that would have been the end of it. However, I would have came back and said, but when did Flanagan get recalled?
December 14, 2000.
Ken Pacheco said FY16.
He was recalled, in my opinion, way before. I'm sorry. Okay, stop talking.
He said FY16. FY16 just started. So we've had a whole year. Flanagan wasn't even here for how many months of that time? 9 months. So again, if fines weren't written, now he said fines started April 23rd. So I want to know if from the time Sutter was elected to April 23rd, did he or anyone in his administration ask Ken Pacheco not to issue fines?
Don't know.
That's a pin drop question.
There were so many pin drop questions. But here's the thing. If you were at the city, if you were actually in city council, the council chambers, you would have a camera basically looking at the table. You'd have Kathy Ann, you'd have Nunes, you'd have Pacheco. And we're sitting behind the cameras, so there's a good amount of us back there. And every time the room got silent, got scary silent, I looked around and everyone's head shook in disgust because not one person could fabricate an answer. Mm-hmm. They couldn't even come up with something fast enough. No. and then you would see Kathy Ann Viveris come out with something. And it made zero sense. It really, and she was trying to give this generalized, opaque answer that was completely vanilla, and just to pacify, just to fill space.
Vanilla, huh?
Yeah. I like that you used.
What kind of references are you trying to make here, sir?
Yeah.
There's an undertone.
Why is it that vanilla is supposed to be boring? Vanilla isn't everything.
I actually I mean, as far as ice creams go, it's at least third on my list. I don't
It's
understand
first on mine, my favorite.
It would be.
It would be. Of course it
Just
would
kidding.
Why?
This is the segment of the show where we sometimes interrupt you and give you a hard time. How you feeling right now, Derek?
Bite me.
be. We like breaking up our day.
Yes. I know.
Crazy talk.
I want to crazy talk forward. So I want to talk about some other things that happened at your debate last
Well, it
night.
wasn't my debate. It was
You
the
were
people's
there.
debate.
You
Come
were
on,
on
guys.
stage. It was
People's
your world.
debate.
No. I just think the fact that you've been in a couple of these now, you've been on the forefront. Your questions were asked in the recall election as well.
Mhm.
I think that your name is getting out there as one of those people that have an inquisitive mind, willing to do the research. I think you do a model job for other people out there that don't want to exactly run for office, but still want to get involved in politics. I think that you are just a perfect example of what citizens should be doing out there.
Aw,
You're welcome. Now,
thanks. We love
Hold on,
Geeky
hold on.
Hour.
I thought Jazel Correa brought up a great point. $8.4 million spent in busing, right? And he wanted to transfer that over
Mhm.
to be a part of net school spending, which would take costs off the city budget
Mhm.
and make meeting net school spending easier. Now, I was waiting for Sam Sutter's rebuttal, and I really couldn't understand how he was against it. And he worded it to make it sound as if the school department was going to lose money.
Well, because that's what and that's exactly what's happening within the sanitation. That's why I say it's not really just sanitation. It's literally within every single department in the city. What they're doing is they're picking and choosing what they want to actually keep in the budget. And then they're taking out other things and trying to put them in other budgets to make people pay for them. So whether that's separating the 8.4 transportation, making the city pay for that, keeping it out of net school spending, that's so whatever they're getting from net school spending
Can be
spent.
Right.
And the thing is, when they're questioning, well, we can't put that toward it, but we can put this. It's like they're nickel and diming what they can put toward it. That's $8 million.
Now, speaking of the line items and things like that, one of the big questions you asked Sam Sutter at on our show last week,
Mhm.
and it was brought up as one of the first questions at the debate. I want to know, and I want the listeners to know, why you ask, because he keeps on talking about he keeps saying that it's only transferring one money to the other
Right.
pocket. It shows that he didn't grasp the essence of your question. I would like for you to explain why that is an important question for you to ask.
Okay, well, I also want to say during the previous week when Jazel called in, I asked him the exact same questions. The questions I asked Jazel were the same questions that I asked Sutter,
Yes,
both of
yes.
them. So I just want to make that clear. So the reason that I ask is because when I go through the budget, and they keep saying the sanitation budget is $6 million. We all know I have this big problem. I don't believe in my heart of hearts and through all the information that I've seen that sanitation actually costs $6 million. Residents should have to pay for their trash. I mean, if you throw it out, pay for it. I mean, come on now. However, residents and taxpayers shouldn't be paying for other trash unless it's in the budget and part of the taxes. So when no city department budgets for trash, you're talking the fire departments, any municipal building. So that means every single property the city of Fall River owns. We're talking parks, we're talking everywhere. Any piece of trash that gets picked up in the city of Fall River by the city of Fall River is charged to the Sanitation Enterprise Fund. The only people paying into the Sanitation Enterprise Fund are taxpayers through that $10 per unit per month trash fee, and residents through bags. Now, if housing units are accepting, they receive services, and businesses, and we heard Ken Pacheco say over 400 businesses actually receive services. That's an issue to me.
So you're basically saying that the residents shouldn't be paying for whatever trash the city produces.
Yes.
Just what residential trash costs.
Right.
And that's why it's an important question. And that's why you're not transferring one pocket to the other to the mayor.
Well, when we look at it, and everybody always talks about the water fund is doing good. The water fund generates money. the water fund is also budgeted for each department within the city. And actually, it's over $200,000 for the CSO within the DCM budget. Look at the DCM budget. $200,000+ is budgeted for CSO. So to me, if each department, if we can add up all the trash from each department and it's millions of dollars, then guess what? Sanitation doesn't really cost X amount of dollars. Residential trash costs this amount. Municipal trash costs this amount. There's a separation there that needs to happen.
And you asked, how do you separate it?
I did ask that question.
You did ask that. And here's the other thing too. Nikki has not implied that it's not separated. She hasn't implied that something tricky is going on here where residents are paying for city trash for the, you know, for the what the government produces. What Nikki's asking is about the process. How is it done? How can we determine this so we can understand the costs? It's an extremely important question to ask, by the way, people. So for Sam Sutter to downplay it, to laugh at it, and to mock it, it actually shows the immaturity he tries to say Jazel has, which is really kind of like, I mean, I hope that people out there see that for what it's worth. We really do need better leadership here right now to ask these kind of questions. This is what the product of inquiring and transparency can bring to people. I don't know if I cut you off on there.
No.
All right.
You know, and it's nothing personal either when I ask the questions, but to be, you know, if we're going to have a frank discussion and you really want to pay, you know, we have such a budget issue. So my thing is, okay, how much you want us to pay for residential trash? Great. Let's get to the nitty gritty. How many tons of residential trash alone does the city of Fall River accumulate? Once we know that number, then we can go from there. How many units from housing do receive services? And again, whether it's recycling or not, we pay for recycling. So if Fall River, the city of Fall River, DCM, is picking up recycling from housing units, as I've been told, and the housing's not paying for that recycling to get picked up, taxpayers are now paying for that recycling, $45 a ton. We're not making money on it. We're paying for it. So if we're paying for it and the city is not charging for those services, taxpayers are paying for it. And if they're not taking it from the general fund and they're taking it from the trash fees, those are the property owners, which is, again, taxpayers. If they're taking it from the bag fees, that's pay as you throw, that's residents. Businesses aren't paying for those bags. Housing's not paying for those bags. So let's be real. If we want to talk about the cost of sanitation, let's get the cost of sanitation.
But you're going to also take into account that if they need to fund that, because they will have to find a way to make up that difference. That money's got to come from somewhere. They're not going to, it's not going to come out of thin air. It's going to be from the taxpayers. We know this. That was their contingency plan. That was their backup plan, was to create a stabilization account within the sanitation fund, enterprise fund, which ironically enough, that stabilization fund will have more than the regular stabilization account for the whole city. Now, that money is going to be from all taxpayers, for property taxes, the car taxes, the road
excise.
Excise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now that is going to go fund that money is going to fund for the housing, for the businesses that deal with their trash. And remember something, I'm paying for my own stuff to be dealt with. If I'm
if you
privatized citizens, they're dealing with their own thing. So that's another reason why all that money is going somewhere that it's not going to benefit the taxpayer.
Right.
And
it's a tax, guys. Like, I mean, haven't tax versus fee. I've been saying that for months.
And then of course you have the yard waste. That's a completely separate argument that hasn't even been touched yet.
I know.
And does anybody see why Nikki gets so sick?
And and you know something though, this is indicative. Just sanitation is indicative of what every single department in the city of Fall River is like. Each department's budget is the same thing. They're not saying, well, we have to cut this. You know, if I have a weekly budget for my food, okay, and it's $75 a week, and I'm going to the market every week, and I'm still finding that I don't have enough for the necessities. Okay, I just can't get enough of toilet paper. I need toilet paper, but I'm always running out of toilet paper, right? Don't I have to cut something else in order to make sure I have enough toilet paper? They're not even cutting. They're just knocking on their neighbor's door asking for their neighbor's toilet paper.
Pretty much.
It's the same kind of thing. Like, you can't, I need you to look at that budget and say, what can we cut? Let's do that first. Figure out your costs. You know, if businesses are receiving city services, businesses should pay for city services, even if it's recycling. Sorry, businesses, but if the taxpayers have to pay for recycling, so do you. It's kind of, especially if somebody's privatized and they're not having that service. If they don't receive that service, why the hell should their tax dollars go to it?
I'm just getting messages from somebody listening to the show who was saying, you know, she believes that, you know, a lawsuit, civil suit could be filed based under all this stuff.
Absolutely.
I replied to her that the people who privatized under the pretext that, you know, they had no other choice but to privatize and things like that. I mean, if they organize themselves together, they might actually have something on their hands. Who knows?
There is already a letter submitted
Oh, that's great.
from someone who privatized, someone who is a taxpayer.
And I say great because I want to make sure that that our legality is in order. I actually don't think that our legality is in order here. And the more we dig, the more we keep on having another question to try to be answered.
Well, I have a question too. I'd love to question Ken Pacheco, to be honest with you, because as he stated last night, nobody asked him to issue fines prior to FY16. So FY16 started in July. Okay. Now we received the trash officers. The trash officers were hired months and months prior to that.
Right.
What did they get paid for?
Great question.
What did they get paid for? Where'd that money come from?
And we have a caller.
Oh, I had
Yay.
a feeling you'd be calling today.
Hello, sir. You're on with City Talk Fall River.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Barry.
Hello?
What's going on, Barry?
I barely hear you.
I said, what's going on, Barry?
Oh, how's it going? Listen, this is not about cutting. That's what you have to understand something. Okay, this is not about cutting the fat. Okay, this is about changing something that's been used the last 40 years in this city. Sam Sutter is no different than Will Flanagan. He's no different than Ed Lambert, John Mitchell to an extent, and Bob Correa. This practice of how they run this city has been the same way the last 40 years. Okay? It's not about cutting. It's about changing the entire structure of how the city is run. And they are in fear of this completely. You can cut a few jobs here and there, but it's not about cutting. This city's been doing the same thing it's been doing the last 40 years. When there's a problem, you raise a tax, or you create a tax, or you create a fee, and they've been doing this the last 40 years. They don't want to change. They're stuck in this cycle. That's really where the problem is. And, you know, like I said, I mean, the trash thing's a part of it, but there are other aspects of the city, I can tell you right now, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Agreed.
Agreed, sir. I'm sorry.
You got
Yeah,
the phone.
I know. I agreed. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I watched that debate last night. I was watching full debates. But I watched that debate last night, and I started laughing at some of the stuff. The crowd was hilarious. It was like someone mentioned it. It was like Jerry Springer.
Barry,
Barry,
you pride yourself. Barry, you pride yourself on being, you know, a conservative minded individual. And you know, I've definitely you know, started to build that reputation as I started to run, as well as thinking more of a saver and a conservative individual. Now, when we were listening to the debate last night, what did you feel about that $8.4 million in busing that Jazel talked about? I thought that was a very, very informative, important piece to discuss on, and a way that we could get away from you know, always breaking our backs with the net school spending. What did you think of that?
You know, what really got me was when they had a discussion about where Diesel brought up the back taxes, and Sutter kind of countered. I don't know who the guy who he mentioned. The guy he mentioned, Sutter kind of just basically he really pissed me off when he did it too, because it's almost like he talked about how we're working on it, we're getting it down. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're going after everybody but Moses Raposa. That's what it seemed like.
Moses Raposa got himself legal representation to protect him from talking to anybody, but he still owes money to the city. You know.
That's right. That's right. And he didn't mention it. It's like so basically. And here's the problem with the media or even Jazel. Jazel's going to counter this. Wait a minute. So you're going after everybody who's not connected to you or any of those incumbents on the city council.
So that's probably going to be like 3 people on the list. You know what I mean? Because basically it's connected to everybody.
But it's all related into one thing. It's all related. It's like I said, this is what's been going on in this city for the past 40 years. It's not changed. It's a different person. It's a different figurehead. It's not changed. It's the same thing. And anybody who, like I said, it also irritates me why certain people support Sutter, but I understand how older people and certain homeowners support Sutter because they've been going, like I said, they're used to this for the past 40 years. They're used to this. You and Jordan and Josh and some other people around here who are anti-Sutter, listen, they hate you because you're the disruption in that machine that's been running for 40 years.
Barry, I'm such a nice young man. Why would anyone hate me, sir? I'm deeply offended by anything that would be said that way.
Well, the attack you got on social media the other night and the attack Jordan had to go through from Dr. Dink, who suffers from a case of terminal righteousness. Okay? They're going after you. Like I said, they don't want to change the old boy network, the old system. That's part of the problem. It's not so much about cutting because the cutting is not the problem. You could cut 3 or 4 jobs in this city. You could get rid of 5 cops and 3 firefighters and 2 sanitation workers. It's not going to solve the problem because the same thing is going to happen. Okay? They could lay 10, 15 people off. I can tell you right now, they'll come back 6 months later and say, well, we need more money, and we need more money, and we need more money. And they're going to, if they get back in, they're going to do that exactly. And they'll have enough people in this city who used to bend over because they've been doing it for 40 years, just keep handing them money. And that's the problem. And I think that's, like I said, that's why the things have gotten so angry in this city and testing. Because you guys are actually doing something. You are railing against the old system, an old system that doesn't work anymore. And that's what's driving Sutter and these other people in the radio station and the communist newspaper to go to basically do what they're doing. They don't want to change. They want the same thing constantly, and they want people like you just to shut up and take it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to shut up, and I'm not going to take it. Whether I win or lose the election on Tuesday, I'm still going to be who I am. I'm still going to do what I do. Nothing changes for me at all. I haven't bought a bag. I've never bought a bag. I will never buy a bag. And I'm still just going to carry myself appropriately the way that I've been. So there it is.
Well, like I said, I've been telling people. I got into a conversation with 3 Sutter voters. I said, let me tell you something. This 40-year bubble is close to popping. And she didn't understand what I said. I said, oh, what do you mean? I said receivership. We are getting closer every day to that under this administration, under this city council. We are getting closer to that every day. And they don't want to talk about it because they think it's the boogeyman. But I can tell you right now, the day we get there, those rats are going to be jumping off that ship and blaming everybody but themselves.
Yeah, man. I'm not ready to get my war paint on quite yet. I think we still have a chance to do this the right way, but little by little, I think more people are getting more upset about this. But I actually think voting is actually a nice way to get involved in a peaceful way to make these changes instead of going, It's tough to say, man. I think we can still do this through the process, but we got to get involved, man. People got to get involved. That's what it's really all about at the end of the day, man.
Pay attention.
Like, look what Nikki's doing. Look, Nikki again. I use her as the perfect example of somebody that can get involved, get people informed, and make some changes. Actually, if I know I'm not promoting WSAR at all because I don't listen to them anymore after the couple of days ago. But at 12 o'clock, Barry Richards, still one of the good guys over there, and he is going to have Michelle Dion on. And,
oh, cool.
And Michelle Dion is one of the people that got involved, citizen that got involved, did a
Mhm.
research, got involved, and got a question on the ballot about trash, which I think is a really good thing. So that's worth listening to, and then turn it right off after she's done talking. All right. So what were you saying?
It is, but my point is that the media should be doing its job. Nikki has exposed so many things, and the only time you get airtime on that station and involvement involves these things is the news hour. Anything after that, it's the old school propaganda machine, and that's not what the media is supposed to do. The media is supposed to be unbiased and supposed to report the truth, regardless of who it hurts or who it indicts or who it goes after. And that radio station and this newspaper, I don't call it the Herald News. It's the Daily Worker, the Communist Times, plain simple. Okay? Because they're not playing fair either. Okay? There are certain people in the city, the one who owns the radio station or the newspaper, who basically have decided, you know what, I'm not going to do the job of the media. I'm not going to basically do what's right. I'm not going to report the truth. I'm not going to split things down the middle. I'm going to take one side and I'm going to force my people on the radio station to do it. And I'm going to, like I said 2 days ago, I'm going to get some idiot doctor who should burn that thing because he doesn't deserve it, to come on and pull some rant stuff about someone who painted his face on Halloween when 15,000 other people probably did it in this country.
Hey, that's why I want to hear both sides of the story every time I'm here. That's why I didn't have a problem having Sam Sutter on, and wouldn't in the future either. I would even have Will Flanagan on. Like, I would have anybody on.
I'd like for him to call. That'd be great.
I would have anybody on this show that from the opposite side of my opinion, of Nikki's opinion, of Derek's opinion, whatever. We welcome the other angle of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we will not deny that. We'll definitely give our opinions on it. I try not to argue too much, but I gotta admit I will get into an argument every once in a while. But at the same time, I don't, I don't want to suppress the other opinion. I want to be able to debate it and then come to a conclusion. I think that's how we get answers around here. But really, nobody really wants to debate facts as much as they want to debate emotions and get that emotional side to this. Because here's the real reason: if we start debating facts, people are gonna lose something, man. That's what people who have a vested interest in keeping things, they're gonna lose it. Because they know that if you dig out the facts and you actually show, why is Fall River in 4 contracts for sanitation? Why?
Well, I keep saying, why the hell are we in a contract with Casella?
You'll never get an answer from that.
Seriously,
You'll never get.
Why? Because somebody's making out.
Well, it's
more than one person making out.
I know.
You know, like I said, but the radio station will never ask that question. They'll never. I mean, Barry Richards may ask it. I mean, but it's what he gets an hour. Barry Richards should be on 24 hours a day. You know,
that's
why he got booed from the
right
radio
there as well.
because he went after people. And
Right.
you can't have that, God forbid,
I was waiting for his break.
Hey Barry, we're gonna let you go, brother. But thank you for calling in, man.
Okay, I'm going to go, but I'm just going to let you know, as a tribute to Dr. Dink, I will be playing Cowboys and Indians today.
Oh,
you know what?
nice.
I actually played Kanye West that night. After that, I was listening to a lot of Kanye West that night.
Oh God! Everybody should have showed up in Cowboys and Indians, Kanye West in front of this guy's house, and just basically call him out for what he is. He's a fraud.
You know what, Barry? I'm the opposite. I'm of the opposite view. I actually work with kids, and when kids act out and look for attention, we do planned ignoring. And I think that giving him more attention is just going to egg it on more. I think taking away the attention is the best thing to do.
I don't think you can get a PhD in dinkery.
All right, Barry. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
I want to talk about since you brought up the contracts, I want to mention the Casella contract and why folks are not asking our elected officials why we are in a contract with a company when we're the ones who collect the recycling. We bring the recycling to Allied and they pick it up from Allied. Why is Fall River in a contract with Casella? Shouldn't Allied be the one in a contract, seeing as Casella is coming on their property to pick up recycling? Wouldn't the contract be with Allied, BFI, Republic, whatever they're known by at this point, rather than the city of Fall River?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I have questions about that. And nobody seems to know the answers to those.
Yeah, it's just more money that was spent that's going down the drain that no one can account for.
And he talked about one of those contracts being for the capping of the landfill.
Yep.
That should not be a part of the sanitation enterprise fund. That should absolutely be a part of the general fund, considering every penny made from the landfill has been spent by the city of Fall River
Right.
already. That should not be a part of the sanitation enterprise fund if the sanitation enterprise fund is charging people fees now. We weren't charging people fees before. That money should not be a part of the sanitation enterprise fund. It should be paid out of the general fund.
I don't want to go back on to the whole 1.3. To be honest with you, that number keeps changing. It was $1 million shortage 2 weeks ago. Tuesday it was 1.3, changed to 1.5. Let's just use 1.5. Okay, we're going to be short 1.5. Now I want you. Now I remember earlier in the year that Sam Sutter went on the air I believe he went on Barry's radio show and stated that he was looking at potential ways to get rid of the $10 per household fee for the trash. Now, knowing that everything is so grossly underestimated, there's no way he can get rid of that fee. He's stuck with it. Now he's pretty much put himself in a complete corner, because now when FY17 comes, and if he somehow walks away from this election and stays the mayor, which I truly can't see happening, but I've seen crazier things happen. He's now put himself in a corner because he said he was looking at potential ways of getting rid of it.
He can get rid of it.
He can, but there's no way he would be willing. There's no way he can, because if he does, he's putting the sanitation enterprise fund into a way bigger deficit. Go ahead.
I really just ate the microphone.
Yeah, you did.
Or is it because we do have enough money for sanitation, they're just putting it in other places? And this is the big, I'm going to get him when I lower the fee.
Well, if that's how he's playing it, then he has stolen money from us for FY16.
It's got to come from somewhere. So
right, but don't be surprised if that fee goes up next year.
Well, they said it at the city council meeting. Kathy Ann Viveris, Ken Pacheco both said it's either right now it's not cutting it. What we're paying is not cutting it. So either there are cuts or there's an increase in the fees. And anybody who watches that meeting will clearly see they have no intentions on making any cuts whatsoever.
Ken Pacheco even stated that, and he said that every time he has overtime on Saturday, he's looking at what, $5,000 a week?
$3,000 to $5,000 per Saturday.
Now let's just say this. There's, I believe, 30 more weeks in the FY16. I believe it's 30 more weeks. I could be wrong, maybe 40. I don't know if I did the math right. But there was a point where they were asking, well, $5,000 a week times 30 weeks. Sorry, quick math. It's $150,000. That's a pretty considerable savings.
Hello, you're on with City Talk Fall River.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Nikki, great job last night as a panelist. I appreciate all your help in the people's debates, in both the preliminary and the general election debate. You are, as always, informed and very ready to go forward.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, it's always a pleasure. And it's amazing. Right now, we're looking at a lot of the preliminary numbers. About 75% of the people who watched the debate found it to be one of the more informative debates.
Nice.
75% of the people that were at the debate felt that it was loud, raucous, and they couldn't understand a word anyone said, but they created that, and they liked it.
Exactly.
They enjoyed it.
Yep.
Okay? And you know what? That's why it's called the people's debate.
That's right.
It is not the debate of the liberal media, the mass media outlets. It is the people's debate. And when the people get involved, they get what they ask for. We fought to get questions. How many times did we meet going over questions over and over? because we need the real questions.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of questions, and you know, you've been part of this. We get a lot of questions that are, you know, wingnut questions. The mayor did this, Hazel did that, and we remove those. We want the policy because the people of Fall River are sick and tired of the gross incompetence of every individual in the city of Fall River that is elected or appointed.
Hey CJ,
And, yeah.
I wanted to just let you know. I mean, I sat in the middle for obvious reasons. You know, I didn't want to.
I saw you there.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want to be, you know, one of those city councilors that side with, you know, shamelessly with whoever they think is going to, you know, get the tide to swing their way. You know what I mean? So anyway,
Right.
I wanted to mention that I felt as though both sides were, you know, rather loud. I thought the Jazel side was louder, but there was ruckus on both sides of the
Yes,
table.
there was.
And I think
Yes,
that's exactly the way that they
More
wanted
people
it.
on
You know what I mean?
Jazel's
And that was
side.
cool.
Yeah, and
As far as answering-
JAR did develop the format. JAR did develop the format.
Yes, they did.
That was presented to us, and we did accept it.
And I liked it.
And-
I liked it. It was fun. I was laughing and having fun the entire time. I wanted to mention something specific if you had an opportunity though. Who do you feel between the two candidates answered the questions the most?
I don't think it's the most. I think it's the most effective
Okay.
that we need to address. And I think that Jazel was making every opportunity to address the issue, not the attack. And, Sam was presenting a lot of his facts, but I think Jazel came out to be the debate winner. No
Okay.
question about it.
And I appreciate that that opinion. I just wanted to kind of get that idea from where your perspective was.
Yeah,
'Cause I know it can be
and
frustrating,
I
you know?
sat there and I actually stepped out of the room for quite some time because
Yes, you did.
I couldn't hear being, center stage, front row with everyone around me screaming in my ear. I really couldn't hear what they were saying. And for people who couldn't hear because they were at the debate, the video is available on the FRG TV website for Fall River Government Television. It's available on the FRC media site. We've made it available. I posted it everywhere. I actually have copies of the video now. And the thing is that if you listen to the debate in the video format, you don't hear all the screaming. You hear some of it, it's there, but it is not overpowering because the audience didn't have the mics. The mics were right there with the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you need to make your decision on who presented a better campaign and a better format. The funny thing is that this morning, because when I got home last night, I was zonked. I had been up since 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and I got home and I had 142 emails in our Spindle City Straight Talk email box on our tips thing, all with studies or I should say investigations done by the citizens on slamming each candidate. And I'm like, you're just restating what was already stated.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing new, nothing exciting, but it shows that people, the electorate, are getting involved.
Yes.
And I think that's the more important issue that we need to walk away from.
Such a
debate.
huge, important issue, CJ. Humongous.
That is that, and that is the whole purpose behind Spindle City Straight Talk and
Now,
Southwest Media.
I've
We're here
read-
to educate the public.
I've read posts on Facebook where you were upset about the crowd being ruckus. Now, has this new format on this latest debate, has that changed your opinion on crowd participation at all?
My thing, and I can't speak for my co-host. We like the audience participation. As a matter of fact, we are real big advocates of the House of Commons type of debate.
Oh, okay.
And we're big advocates of that. But at the same time, we believe that when you have these debates, and this is more along the lines where I'm coming from, I don't want to see a fist fight at the back of the
Right.
auditorium.
Right.
Right.
Being made, and then you walk outside and somebody's getting a black eye. Okay?
Right.
That's not a good debate. Okay? And at the same time, having a moderator who's standing and saying, shut up or I'm going to throw you out of the debate.
Right.
You're
Yeah,
depriving the people the right to be heard.
That's
I'm
right.
all for the First Amendment. I'm all for it. But in every form,
Hmm.
there has to be some control.
Gotcha.
And that control has got to be self-control.
That's right.
And we have to moderate our enthusiasm, our passion, and sometimes even our anger, just so that while we get the message out, we get it out so everyone can understand it
Mhm.
and everyone can take part in it.
There were
Believe
moments. There were moments when because the Jazel crowd was they had moments where they were just deafening. You know what I mean?
They were also larger.
yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
larger crowd.
They were a larger
And-
crowd
and-
too.
And,
Right.
and again,
So no, hold up.
that's
There
what
was
made-
question. There was a part where Jazel couldn't even answer his own question. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because of the ruckus of the crowd. So it was just interesting how that was working out. But again, I'm sorry, CJ. Go ahead.
No, and you know that's the whole point. Especially when it's your candidate, when you see your candidate trying to make a statement, let your candidate make the statement.
Mhm.
Because if nobody can hear what your candidate has to say, how is your candidate supposed to present his message? And again, this is where you have to come into self-control, self-moderation, and say, wait a minute, that's our candidate. Let's be quiet and let him speak, and then we'll
Mhm.
scream. You know. But again, it was a good debate. As much as we received, some digs and some shots for this type of debate. This type of debate.
I heard the term Jerry Springer thrown out there a lot of
Yeah.
times. Actually, to be honest with you.
the Jerry Springer-esque, the Jerry Springer-like type debate. But you know what? I think this also sent a message not only to the mayoral candidates, but to every person running for political office.
Yep.
Okay? You may think that you know how politics run because you went to school for political science or you've been a political activist for a long time. Politics in Fall River is not part of the norm. Politics in Fall River is a different beast. I have been trained by the best in this country, by the GOP and the DNC, and I'll tell you now, I told them very clearly when I was being trained, this doesn't work in Fall River. And they said, oh, no. They found out the hard way. It doesn't work in Fall River. This is a campaign. This is an electorate which is emotional. To them, this is the way it is. And for them to not accept the fact
Hey, CJ.
that politics is a blood sport.
CJ, I got a question for you. I know you stated a little while ago that you thought Jazel Sonic won the debate. Out of curiosity, which question do you think he answered the best? And then, of course, I'm going to ask the question: which one do you think Sam Sutter answered the best, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think Jazel taking on the casino question the way he did, by looking into an intermunicipal agreement.
Yeah.
He's right. We
It's
do sell
heavy.
them water. And by the way, in my opinion, we're taking a bath on that water deal. No pun intended.
You know what's interesting? That was a great one too, and it was because Sam tried to play it down as if there is no answer. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
thought that Jazel did a really good job of giving himself a chance to think. You know what I mean? And actually coming up with something that was productive out of that. That was good. That was good.
Exactly. And I think that addressing that in that fashion, because, one of the things that we know about Sam historically, and when we look at records, we know this. Sam is an eco person. Okay. It's all about, the ecology. It's all about, recycling and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hence why he didn't prosecute the people who blocked the coal delivery over at the power plant. And that's fine. You can, that's a wonderful political position to take, and you can have that. But when you serve as a mayor, your political position cannot be, and this is the one thing that every elected official in this city forgets, your opinion does not matter.
Amen.
When you are elected to office, your opinion does not matter.
Mhm.
It is the opinion of the people.
Yeah, but he has that thought process that he has all the answers. The government has all the answers. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of city councils that have that same exact thought process as
But
well.
that's the problem. They have forgotten where their authority comes from. And, I can never stress it, more than I've stressed it in the past. Their authority comes from, Section 1, Article 5 of the Massachusetts Constitution. All power derives from the people, and whether it be executive, judicial, legislative. And they shall not forget that their power derives as their representatives. That means your opinion does not matter. My opinion as as a person in the community. Your opinion. Every single one of your listeners, every voter, your opinions what matter. And their votes are to be what you say, not what they say.
All right.
And they forget.
All right, CJ, thank you very much. And I know that you do your show on Friday, so anytime you call, I give you an opportunity to spread that one out there. So go ahead.
I thank you. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
Oh, no. Whoa, where you going? I was going to give him an opportunity to get.
Well, the show is on Fridays. I believe it's Wednesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m., is it?
11 a.m. Yep.
11 a.m. on Channel 95.
So one more time, Channel 95. That was CJ Ferry. He's the one who put together this. Yeah, I know. I got the phone in my hand like I'm talking.
Like he's still on the line.
But yeah.
Thanks for calling.
That was CJ Ferry, and he did most of the legwork here to get that set up for the People's Debate with Sam Sutter and Jaisal Correa, calling WJAR Channel 10 to get involved in this. So credit to CJ Ferry for that. And also on Channel 95, him and Chip Kamara do a show called Spindle City Straight Talk. And that comes on Fridays at 11 as well.
Now I wanted to kind of hop back on what he said about Jaisal's best answer. The answer that he gave was to a question that was considered a rapid fire or a lightning round question about the casino in Tiverton.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, you had Sam answer the question immediately, and Jaisal spend a little bit of time to think about it, and then you had the Sutter camp was playing it up like, oh, he doesn't have an answer.
Yeah.
Oh. About 10 seconds, 15 seconds passed, and then you heard about 45 seconds of a plan that on a rapid fire question made absolute sense, and that was what CJ said, and I thought it was a really great answer. And to be honest with you, the Sutter side was disgusted in the fact that answer made so much sense that Sutter looked horrible.
Well, I do have to say this. I can't remember which question it was, but there was one of the rapid fire questions that when Correa answered, Sutter's camp booed, but then Sutter agreed with Jaisal. So it was a moment where I was sitting on stage and I cringed. Like I keep telling Sutter, calm your people back a little bit, because that was just a little. I did, because I was on that side, so I did hear that.
It was the charter review question where Jaisal said that it was more important to strengthen the bond.
Oh yes, but the bond between the mayor and the city council.
And he was they were booing it, and then as soon as
Sutter answered the same way,
they had no response. Yeah. And then we were looking, and I looked at over there, and they just had a blank. And
that's why I'm glad they allowed people to respond, because that sometimes the responses are for show, rather than you're genuinely listening to what the person is saying. So that caught me off guard. Like when I was on stage, I was like, oh, come on, guys. Like you just made yourselves look kind of foolish by booing him, and then your boss answers the same way. Or your candidate, not your boss, sorry.
Rick Ballo, how you doing, sir?
Not bad. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Did you have a good time last night?
Oh, that was the best debate I've ever been to. Nick, you're throwing around that word enterprise account like people say hello and goodbye.
I know.
Come on.
It's rough, isn't it? I think that's probably like one of the best quotes.
Yeah. Lie.
I thought he was going to have a heart attack when he seen you sitting there at the table.
Yeah, there was a little opposition. There were a few people who didn't want me to be there. I got a few head shakes, but I waved to everybody. Anybody who doesn't want me there, I have to question, because
smile and wave.
Well, and in reality, I'm not running for anything. I'm just a resident who's asking questions. I don't have any political insight or any of that stuff. So for anybody to be upset that I was there asking questions is upset that residents want to know the answers. Or anybody who's insulting me, I don't ever insult any candidate on a personal level. I talk about the job that they're doing. So if somebody comes back and personally hits me with like one of the trolls comments was about my teeth, I laughed. I thought that was great. If that's all you have, then God bless you. I don't know what else to say. I wish we could just talk about the facts. So that was that.
Some of these trolls they're just out there. They're just so funny. I mean, some of them they don't cover their tracks too much because they say they live in Fall River. They're not real trolls, but they don't live in the city, and they're just picking up bums. They don't live in the city, but they say they live in the city. They change it, but they don't change their spouses. When you go into their profile and check out things, their spouse is unless their spouse lives in one town, they live in another town. Who knows? But they don't live in the city. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't cover all their tracks. They're not professional trolls.
Now, there's a lot of people who just go, you can, I laughed because I've been paying attention to when they're posting. And I've noticed that during like city events, whether it's a city council meeting or a press conference, there are no posts. But once those things are over, that's when they start posting. So you can kind of tell which troll belongs to which candidate.
Yep.
At least I can.
What we have now, Sutter, who's just the same exact thing as Flanagan, except twice his age. Last night when he came out to say, your car's not even registered to you, I mean, what kind of a person comes out and says that during a debate about mayoral candidates? I mean, it was just completely irrelevant whether or not a person's car is registered to them as being a mayor.
Right.
I mean, the car that the mayor's driving now isn't his car, it's the taxpayer's car.
Rick, that is indicative of, in my opinion, the entire campaign that Sam Sutter has been running against Jazel Correa. He's focused on age discrimination. He's focused on trying to go personal at his business and his lifestyle. And he's gone personal on how to pronounce his name. And yeah, the job he doesn't have, he doesn't get paid and anything like that. Registering his car. These are not political discussions. When Jazel Correa was critical of Sutter, he kept it in tune of politics. He criticized him for cronyism by hiring his friends like Joe Macy and things like that. He kept it on the level when it came to how knowledgeable he is or not knowledgeable he is about the documentation that he supposedly brought to city council himself from the DOR. He was critical of the use of a police car. That, again, is not a personal attack. It's an attack on politics and his political process and how he sees himself in this political process as someone who's privileged enough to use a police car. So Jazel Correa did do a mudsling, but he kept it on the tone of politics. Throughout this entire process, Sam Sutter has gone into a negative campaign against age. That is not just offensive to Jazel Correa. That's offensive to young people out there in the entire city. You're too young, you're too inexperienced, you're too immature. Anyone calling Jazel Correa mature, I'm just not 100% sure where they're coming from on it. But perhaps maybe it's because they don't believe the story behind the gun incident with Flanagan, or any of those other side stories. But when we're talking about right now, the political process, how people handle themselves in office, there's no way around it. It's just really, negative to go at somebody on a personal level like that. And then to complain that Jordan does that, to complain that people on Facebook do that. And then he did it himself during the entire campaign. To me, it was hypocritical.
But everything he's doing is just, like I said, the same thing Flanagan did. With the trash, he comes out, criticizing Flanagan about the trash. And then what does he do? He adds a $10 fee to it.
Right. Tack that on. I mean, it is what it is. We know that budget. And the numbers aren't even projecting to fill up. You know what I mean? So now we're in a situation where the numbers are not even going to project, because if I'm not mistaken, I heard Jazel at the council meeting talk about how they're supposedly projected to earn or to take $300,000 or, give or take $300,000 a month. And they're only bringing in about 119 or 115 a month. So they're already short month to month. So they're already projected to be short, even with the fees and even with the extra taxes. So we need to start really going about this in a better way. You know what I mean? Just need to do that. So
I think what they need, I think they need to go back to calculators. I think they're all using adding machines, and I'm getting really confused with them.
they're
So
going to
they
end up
need to
wanting
go back
more from people is what they're going to end up wanting.
because their math skills are way off with a lot of stuff all the time. They're not.
Common Core.
I mean, I don't understand it, but you know, he's coming out. You know, Nikki brought up the enterprise account, and they're already doing it for water and sewer. So you take it from one account, you just put it into another account to sustain that account, because right now that account is giving another department free service.
And
everybody else has to pay for it.
how many times do we have to hear an elected official say it's taken it's taking money from one pocket and putting it in another? That's what we're talking about.
Well,
That's our point.
That's what they're doing, though.
Yeah.
They're doing it now with the enterprise account. They're taking it from one and putting it in the other. But
Exactly.
it's being budgeted for it. So why, like you said, why isn't it being budgeted for the trash? You know, right now, you put it on the taxpayers.
And my point of bringing up the enterprise fund situation is because if water, sewer, and CSO is being charged per department, then so should sanitation. And if it's not legally supposed to, then why is water, sewer, CSO being budgeted for? Sounds like a valid question to me.
I think he has no clue whatsoever, because you figured, you asked him this question last Friday, you asked him that question. You figured by Monday and Tuesday, or the rest of the day, Friday, and then Monday and Tuesday, you would have already looked into it. So he already just blew it off from there on out, from after you asked him that question.
Mm-hmm.
He should already looked into it, and like, this question might come up again. When he's seen you, he must have already thought that question was coming up.
Well, the thing of it is, too, as far as I'm concerned, it's a question I asked. He should have looked it up anyway. That's a problem. If the enterprise fund is not supposed to be charging each department, it's a problem. If they are, it's a problem.
He blew it off. He completely blew you up.
It wasn't
Right.
important enough
That's that question.
as far as I'm concerned.
So he already had in his mind that he wasn't even going to look it up, because he should have looked it up already and already had prepared, because if he was any type of mayor that wants to get down to the bottom of things and being particular for, you know, numbers and everything, that he would have been calling back today saying, okay, Nikki, I looked into it for you, and this is what I have for you, or tomorrow. So he knew the debate was coming up, so why wouldn't he already have that information already? He had 2 days, well, 3 days, really. I mean, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to find this information out. But he couldn't do it.
I agree.
Failed again.
Failed
He
again.
failed again. But you did a great job, Nikki, and you guys keep up the good work.
Thank
Try to
you.
catch up on the rest of your show.
Oh, he's so sweet.
So, see you later, guys.
Thank you, sir. So we're good there. I love when we get callers. It's awesome. I'm reading. Rick mentioned about that registration. I'm looking on the thread right now here, and Jordan brought up an important situation here. He brought up a very, very important fact here. Sutter. There's only one way that Sutter could have figured out about the car registration if he had information on it. He was about to try to present information on it. The moderator stopped him. It was one of those moments where maybe the moderator could have and should have gotten involved on that, right? So we're at the situation here where the Fall River Police Department cannot run, registration information for political purposes. It's actually against the law to do something like that. So for Sutter to go up there and make that claim and to try to go at him in that angle, to me, why isn't the Herald News, WSAR, or or the police department themselves inquiring about how Sam Sutter was able to bring this up in the debate politically?
One of the things that take place is that when you run a tag on a car, that the search or the inquiry gets noted on the tag itself. So therefore, for example, if someone was to look up my license plate 123 ABC, that's not what it is, but let's just use it for example. What will happen is that there'll be a little small note on the bottom saying that this officer number, whatever, looked up my tag on this date. Now, if people continually do that, what'll happen is that eventually, if for some reason they really need to look it up, there's going to be a list of inquiries, and that's going to be something that a police officer will eventually stop. I mean, they'll stop you and they'll ask you what's going on. So by doing that, you're potentially putting a person that, you know, someone could stop him, and that would happen. He could deal with a situation that he never had to from the start. So the truth of the matter is that it does get logged on as to who did it. So if they wanted to, they could go back. They should be able to pull those logs, and they should be able to tell exactly who got that information from that specific tag. So chances are, if they do, I have a very strong feeling that a George Thompson is going to happen where the information is going to be magically erased or magically not there. And that's exactly what, I mean, in my heart of hearts, I hope that it doesn't. I hope whoever did it is not, I don't want to say outed though, but responsibility needs to be taken.
I hope someone just is honest. Like, come on, what the hell is going on when everybody's got to be doing sneaky and underhanded things like that? Run on your damn record. If you can't run on your damn record, then get out.
But wait a minute, isn't this the same person who said he has an excellent track record for 8 years as a district attorney?
That's what I keep hearing.
Well, if you have such a great record, why do you have to sling mud? Personally, not attack a person's political record. You're attacking a person's character. Now, that is two very different things for someone who has a great track record.
It's not even really, it's not even character assassination. It's literally like, you've got a big nose, or you've got that. That's what I feel like it is. I feel like it's the kitty back and forth. You know what? Again, I'll say it. You want to hammer him because he's on the ordinance committee. You're not even saying anything about what he does as far as, or what he has done in his time in the city council.
Oh,
that drives me nuts.
Oh, that's brilliant. So one of my inboxers people said to me, what I found out from the false DCF report filed on me by so-and-so last year was that if a police department out of the city looks up information, it does not get logged. So if the mayor had Somerset Police look up that info, it wouldn't be recorded in Fall River.
Wow.
Of course.
Brilliant.
Any takers that research was done in Raynham?
Here's the smoking gun. Here's what it is though. Your mayor was on TV saying he had the information.
Right.
So all you got to do is ask him where he got the information, and if anything outside of the police department is a lie. He can't get it any other way.
Again, I'll say it. They say something blatantly, outright, and nobody questions it.
Nobody holds him accountable.
Nobody.
Come on,
I
man.
just reminded myself of the commercial. Remember, nobody.
There you go. But seriously, I mean, we have a mayor potentially that just committed a crime.
Yeah, we did. Not potentially. It's public record that he admitted to the fact that he
So
did.
we're gonna sit here on City Talk Fall River. We have viewers, we have listeners. Bob Carrere, from what I understand, is on his show complaining about, of course, you know, people in Fall River and how disrespectful they are and everything. But in reality, we had a mayor literally go up there and be as disrespectful as possible. He had some secret information that you can only obtain through the police department. And I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right, I'm throwing out another bet. A special investigator reviews this and finds no wrongdoing.
Oh.
I don't know. I think that things are going to kaboom in the next few months.
My biggest problem is the fact is if this goes to where it's supposed to go, which is the DA's office.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if the DA is going to do his job the right way.
Well, no, the DA is going to do exactly what Sutter did when he was DA.
See, I don't know anything about this law,
He's
so
gonna pass it off just like Sutter did for the Flanagan investigation, and in that way, his hands are clean.
so it is illegal. Just so I get this straight, it is illegal to have a plate run.
It's not illegal to have a play run, but if you're getting the information from the police department to use for your benefit,
For personal.
yes, that
Okay.
is completely illegal.
And is that written anywhere? Just so
Absolutely.
it is law.
There's people. I pulled up an article and I posted it online from 2013. Police officers in Florida were using this system, and I don't know what the acronym exactly stood for, but it was DAVID was the acronym, and they were using it. It was like an increase once the system came out. They were looking up like girls' information and stuff like that.
For personal
Trying
stuff.
to get
That's
phone
terrible.
numbers and things like that, and some people got fired for that.
That's
So
awful.
you're not supposed to use a personal gain. You're sure as hell not supposed to use political gain. What Sam Sutter did last night was, in my opinion, low. Like they talk about like people being negative out there. How can anyone justify what
So is
this
the-
man did just then?
Is it safe to say that the only way Sutter could get this information is, and I mean legally, the only legal way he could get this information is by having somebody run a plate number?
I mean, it has to go through the police department one way or the other, and it's not. I mean, there's no other way he can do it. I mean, he'd have to literally go through the Fall River Police Department to get that information. You know, there's no other way to do it.
Mhm.
You know, there's no way you and I can do it. You know what I mean? So,
Well, I know there are a lot of officers who do just run a plate number. Somebody will call them up and say, "Hey, I need you to run me a plate number."
someone
it
asked
happens.
me, what if he obtained it through the RMV? It'd still have to be through the police department. There's no way for him to get that other than because
Now, do they input that information? Like, I'm trying to figure out, like when Derek said it would have to be, there would be like some kind of a timestamp, I'm assuming. Do I have to put in a formal request? Like if you're able to log on to the computer and I call you and I say, "Hey, look up this guy for me," and you do that.
if you go on the air
And then I say
start
that,
talking
yeah,
about all of this
okay.
information, then it's not right. You know what I mean? It's not legal. You
Well, then
cannot
I'm
go out
proving
there,
that
right.
I know
Exactly.
somehow that it's not in your name.
Exactly. Now, again, official criminal investigation.
Yeah, that'll never go anywhere.
whole different thing. And if they're going to try and act like there was a criminal investigation on Jay's career for Sam Sutter to go on stage and make that sentence, then no. I mean, obviously we're so far off of what should be done in that process. So, at any rate, people need to start seeing this for what it's worth here. I mean, we need to start seeing this for what it's worth. He ran on being the more mature candidate, the more experienced, the more reserved candidate. It did not come off that way. He went personal on every single debate. He went personal. He went against age. He used this term over and over again called "lotta gays." I mean, we've had jokes about it here and there, but it's not a joke.
It was a mispronunciation, and an intentional mispronunciation
Right.
of a business called Low Tags.
Yeah. If he was a responsible, mature, stickler for accuracy person that he says he is, he would have said it wrong the first time. He would have found out how to correct himself, and he would have said it right the second time, and it wouldn't have been a thing. But to continually keep on going on about it, it doesn't represent what he was running on as the mature, reserved, older, experienced individual, and brings all this value to the table. It's not there. He didn't show it. And I really do hope that the people who are out there, just because they're so stuck in what they want and what they believe, that they actually see this for what it's actually worth. It's out there. It's there in front of you. And I really hope that on November 3rd, and not just on November 3rd, man, like in the future, like become more involved in what's in front of you, the facts that are there.
Check them out, man.
Check them out. Be objective in this.
And I literally couldn't think throw the Throw Up in Fall River page any more than I do, because that page, like I say, and I tell the story often, I kept getting added by Jordan, and I kept saying, this group of people is crazy. I'm out of here. And I mean,
This group is crazy.
right at the very beginning, being honest, this is honesty. I sat there and I said, these people are crazy if they think they're going to recall the mayor. Why wouldn't they just wait until the election? But the more stuff that kept getting posted, and I mean, I kept deleting myself from the group and everything, but he kept adding me. So things were coming up on my newsfeed. So when I would hear something or read something rather about Flanagan being left or doing this, I started looking into that information.
Absolutely.
And when I started finding, holy shoot, they are right, then I started paying attention more. I started looking into things more, and I started speaking myself. So
the
Pay
thing about
attention.
the thing about I've been added to so many different websites on Facebook besides Threw Up in Fall River and Grew Up in Fall River, and I just I stay on them. I wait to see what the content is, what they're talking about, and then I decide if I want to be a part of it. He begged me to get on it when he started this thing.
yeah,
He was
that's
begging me
pretty
to get on it. I was like, all right, man, whatever. I don't care. I get on it. And then I started paying attention to the politics of the situation.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, I look at some of this negative stuff, right? I look at some of this, whatever, people swearing, whatever, making fun of each other, calling each other, whatever it is that they do. And I just look past it. Because that's what you do in life.
Yeah.
That's what you do in real life. If I'm walking down the street
Mm-hmm.
and I see people yelling and swearing at each other, right? I'm not going to say, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening in my, you don't do that. You either try to see if you can be a part of resolving that conflict,
Or you ignore it.
or you just get past it and say,
Yeah.
all right, they're going to have to resolve this on their own. That's exactly what you do in real life. It's very easy to just go past it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to the people you want to talk to.
Or
Talk-
not talk to anyone at all.
Associate with the people you want to associate with, because there's information out there all over the world, and this world can be nasty. There could be negative in this world. What are we going to do? Not associate ourselves with human beings now? I mean, there's people out there that do that.
Yeah.
But no, but true story. Like, that's life. I mean, oh my goodness, that's Bob Correa's song.
That's life.
But that's life. So why would you do that on a social media site and not do that in real life?
Mhm.
You're gonna encounter moments where you're gonna say, oh man, I would never get involved in that.
I have
Just
learned
walk past it.
so much from the Throw Up in Fall River Facebook page. I would never have thought in my wildest dreams that a page called Threw Up in Fall River would be the most politically active, the most factual information that I have read in my adult life in Fall River.
I want to mention that, there's not 100% accuracy in all this, right? There is in some
Oh,
cases.
I'm talking about the stuff that I skip over. I
Yes.
skip over a lot of stuff. So
Yeah. Because there is sometimes rumors that get spread. I think there was a couple of rumors here and there. What do you do with rumors in real life? Do you take them for face value, or do you say, all right, duly noted, and then you move on? That's what you do in real life. This is no different, people. There's no, somebody inboxed me yesterday and said, hey, your movement, blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is not my movement.
Right.
I'm not
Are
a
you
voice
kidding?
of the movement. There's no movement here. These are just people there's some people in this group that really care about what's going on in politics. There's other people in that group that don't care about what's going on in politics. They just like to instigate and have fun.
Mhm.
This is what the world is. The world, it's a reflection of real life. Like, everything is a reflection of real life. Every human interaction that's out there is a reflection of real life. So to try to, it's so hypocritical to call people negative and then demonize somebody for being there. You're
You
judging, like, people are
Yeah.
judging, like Edward Costa got judged by the actions of other people. What's more ignorant than that?
Exactly. And with Ed will go out and talk to you. Like, that's the thing that I find about this page is the people on it will speak to you. They'll reach out. If you reach out to them, they'll sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with you. I can't tell you how many times I've asked counselors to meet with me, to give them my information. And actually, that's prior to being on Threw Up or posting on Threw Up. Prior to that, before I felt comfortable enough to post all the information that I found on the page, there were certain media outlets that I was contacting. There were certain elected officials that I was contacting, but nothing ever got done. Nothing ever got said. I find that the only way my information is spread and is read and people get it is through Throw Up in Fall River.
You would think that if you have an education out there, that you would know that just because someone swears online, that they are still capable of providing accurate information. Okay. Somebody asked me a question about the registry database, the RMV, right? They showed me what the penalty is officially online. Penalty, I don't want to go too far into this, but penalty 18 USC 2723 provides that anyone who knowingly obtains, discloses, or uses personal information from a motor vehicle record for the purpose not permitted under 18 USC 2721 shall be liable to the individual to whom the person information pertains, including an award of the greater of actual damages or liquidated damages of $2,500 for each violation, punitive damages upon proof of willing or reckless disregard of the law, reasonable attorney fees, other litigation costs, and other equitable relief as the court may order. Anyone requesting the disclosure of personal information who misrepresents his identity or makes a false statement in connection with any request for personal information with the intent to obtain personal information in the manner not authorized by law shall be subject to criminal prosecution, which may include a fine of not more than $5,000 or imprisonment in jail or house of correction or not more than 1 year or both. What Sam Sutter did was wrong. That's it. And it possibly illegal. That's it. There's no argument here, guys. Nope. There isn't an argument. And you know what? You can say what you want about me. I don't even care. You can say whatever you want about me. You can say whatever you want about the Facebook group. Bottom line is you have a mayor who went up there and did that.
Yeah.
I just made a note that in reading that, the fine for violation of that law was actually more than the fines that the two men that blocked the coal shipment for Somerset were fined.
It's right there in black and white. That is the penalty for doing what, for basic, what exactly happened. $2,500 fine. And keep in mind, he used the word
he disclosed it on national television.
He said that on
WJAR,
where you had pretty much the whole city of Fall River listen, pretty much watching it.
Providence. WJAR.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be probably demonized by groups of people. Oh, you're just supporters of so and so. We just used facts. We used objectivity here. We used the facts that were in front of us to show us what exactly happened.
I don't need to get personal to insult anybody.
It's not personal.
The paperwork.
Man. If you break the law, you've broken the law, and it's proof positive that this is what you're going to get. We have a mayor that literally just broke the law.
Right.
How can you support this?
Asked Derek.
Nice. How can you support
figuring a 15 minutes left time to break up?
How do you support a man that has an incredible track record who was an 8-year DA that just broke a law? I can keep piling this on if I want to.
Really? So he being DA, he should have been aware of this law?
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure that he may have prosecuted people for breaking this law. He may have. Possible.
That'd be interesting to see if he has argued any cases regarding that kind of disclosure.
Wow.
Good thought, Derek.
Here's another lie that was said last night. He said that the director of economic, he said, our mayor said that the director of economic development was telling everybody that it was dead, that Amazon was dead. Mm-hmm. We have an official statement from the economic director, or the head of Fall River Economic Development, Ken Fiola.
I believe that's an old article.
Yes, it's an article from right after
when the recall started.
It's exactly the time that Sam Sutter says Amazon was dead in the water, okay?
Agreed.
City officials, this is the document. City officials knew on Monday that the Amazon presentation would be delayed, Fiola said. Amazon has a very methodical approach. It has been very successful for them. They are doing due diligence in the land itself, and land disposition agreement has to be renewed. Due diligence includes making sure there are no legal claims on the land and that the land isn't polluted and that it is solid enough to support the building proposed. The issue of the mayoral recall election and the election of Sam Sutter as the new mayor was not raised by the company. I've reached out to Mayor Sutter to brief him on this project. We are controlling what we can control and letting Amazon do its work. Sam Sutter, again, in the debate last night, said that Fiola told him it was dead in the water. This is not that. This is the complete opposite of that.
No, what that's saying is that Amazon wanted to make sure they did their due diligence, making sure there were no legal claims on the land, making sure that the land wasn't polluted, making sure that the land was solid enough to support the building proposed. It had absolutely nothing to do with the recall, nothing with Will, none of that.
So here we are again with facts in front of us. Facts. We are not throwing even our opinions into this. We're showing you facts. We showed you just a little while ago about the fact that a law very, very likely was broken last night as far as the registration of Jazel's car was mentioned by the mayor. And now we're talking about something that was completely misrepresented. Could be taken as anybody out there would take that as a lie, okay? He said that Ken Fiola told him it was dead in the water. We have an absolute quote here, which I'm about to like right now. An absolute quote here by Ken Fiola, not saying anything about it being dead in the water. As a matter of fact, saying that it's just delayed and that that they're taking a very successful approach of being careful about what they do. It had nothing to do about it being dead in the water. It was a question, and you know how I've been giving you, I think, a little bit of hard time about last week's, but that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask Sam Sutter.
Oh, about what?
About Amazon being dead in the water. I wanted to challenge him on that because of that comment with Fiola.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that is completely, and again, the word is disingenuous.
I know. But with that one, they would have hit you and they would have said, oh, what are you acting like Jazel? Because that's exactly what Jazel was asking him at the debate. Don't you think that the talk about Amazon is disingenuous?
To me, I just wanted to make sure that when someone goes out there and says it was dead in the water, we have actual facts here that says that person did not say that.
Those are quotes by the Herald News that he likes to bring up himself and say that, oh, I read this in the Herald News. That is a Herald News article that Fiola was quoted in. The
very person he said last night told him was dead in the water.
Yep.
Now, remember last week we also I found a few articles about the TIF agreements. Now, would you pursue a TIF agreement for something that was considered dead? I don't think you would, because what's the point of going after a TIF agreement for Amazon if it was considered dead? On top of that, in March, I believe, there was an article that stated that the state approved the TIF.
Well, Bill Rapley, actually, it's funny because when we were talking to him about everything that was going on, that was one of the things he brought up. He said, so you mean to tell me, and this is both Jazel and the mayor, are excited about Amazon taking property at the biopark with a TIF, so there's no tax money coming in, for only maybe 500 to 1,000 jobs, when bio companies could be coming in, they could be sought out, come in and give more jobs. And I guess there was something which CJ would have to, I should have asked him when he was on the phone. I'm not aware of this. I guess we lose a certain type of status if Amazon does build at the biopark. The state will no longer give, I guess it would be tax breaks on the biopark itself once they let Amazon in, because it would no longer be considered the biopark.
Right.
That to me is more of a loss than having Amazon come in. Like, I don't know if you could compare the two. I hope that CJ talks a lot more about that so that we get the details on that. I'd like to know more about that one.
I'm a little worked up right now. I'm not going to lie.
We all should be worked up. Yeah. We should be having phone calls out the door. Yeah, I literally just said that.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
Phone calls out the door. Is that what you just said?
Just let me go with it. Don't
Took me a
question
minute.
it.
We're just gonna let Derek go into his thing.
Just do it. All right. 774-955-0933.
Nope.
What?
Nope. 0533. So the phone number is, and we have about 10 minutes left in the show. The phone number is 774-955.
0533. Shoot. All right, whatever. You got me. Am I getting a check mark for interrupting? All right.
No. I'm going back to my notes here.
I think we stopped with the check marks. I think
Right.
we just all we know for sure. You know what I want to ask Ray too? Why he thought it was important enough at the city council meeting to question Ken Pacheco, but not important enough to get an answer. What was that all about, Ray? What was it about?
You even said it. Ray had that look in his eye, like it's all right.
He said blatantly, "I'll let you off the hook." So now, actually, I've noticed people have been calling him Ray off the hook Mitchell.
Yeah.
I laughed when I saw that one. I was like, "Oh boy."
So this city council who has been asking for accountability from the Flanagan administration for these 22 windows and a bunch of other things that have gone on, they've completely waived the rules of accountability for Ken Pacheco because he had a hard time at Tuesday's meeting. And I think Ray Mitchell just wanted to see him go home.
I think there was eye contact made, and at that point, Ray knew the answer to that question and didn't feel the need to go any further.
Well,
Watch the exchange between the both. It's perfect.
but here's the thing. Shouldn't that be public information?
Mhm.
So why did he stop it? If he knew the answer,
Shouldn't he want to know the answer?
shouldn't he want to be the one that says it was this guy?
Are you kidding? They all sit there, and this is what, and yes, I'm going to say the word. This pisses me off. They all sit there and say, it's the enforcement. We're not making the money because of the enforcement. It's the enforcement. How many damn times do we have to hear about enforcement? And not one out of 9 counselors pushed the envelope last night to find, or the night before rather, to find out who told Ken Pacheco not to issue fines prior to FY16. Boom. Hold the city councilors accountable for not doing their jobs because they didn't care about that situation enough to delve into it. And that's an important piece of this whole pay-as-you-throw baloney. Pin drop. Boom.
We got nothing.
That's it. That's all I got, man.
TJ with the high five.
That was a low 5.
Yeah. TJ's silent.
Do you want me to say something?
Please.
Okay, the phone number is 774-955-0533.
You can't.
We just had a moment from last night's people's debate where Sutter started talking, and then Jazel Side just went, "Oh, that was what just happened there."
I want to know. You know what? I did take some notes down, and I was able to actually get through a lot of these notes through the phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think is going to happen now that we didn't collect? I mean, 88% and 90% should have still been enough to collect the money we quote need to meet our our budget goals. So clearly we're not meeting our budget goals. So what do you think the actual number, just off the top of your head, what do you think compliance is? Really compliance.
What do I think real compliance is? I think real compliance, in all honesty, is probably between 65 and 75%.
I that's about the number I had.
We could probably, if we actually did the math ourselves with the money we already have, we could probably determine compliance ourselves.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
And I think that's why I agree with both of you guys about 60% to about 65% because of the fact that we do have the money we have right now.
I'm not sure if anybody caught it, but did anybody get the figure that Jazel had where we should have been at 25% of the budget we should have been at 25% of the sanitation enterprise fund funding it, but I didn't catch the number that we were at. Did anybody?
There were so many numbers thrown out. I'm not going to be able to remember exactly which one.
I'll have to go back and we'll have to continue.
I know that from I remember from my O's conversation, we are short $600,000 for the pay-as-you-throw bags
Mhm.
and $900,000 for the fee,
Mhm.
for the monthly trash fee.
That's about so that's $1.5
Five,
million
yes.
dollars based on based on how much money should we have had? 3 point.
They've changed that number so
Yeah.
often. I couldn't even tell you. I want to say it's 3.2, but I'm not sure.
So let's all right, and we'll get the numbers. We'll get the numbers though, but let's just use these for now. 1.5 short out of the 3.2. You're looking at nearly 50%. That means 50% compliance.
Yes.
So our estimate of 65 to 75 or 60 is way over. If the numbers are right.
Well,
I will try to get the figures straightened out. What I want to do is I want to get the percentages of what we were at when Jazel was doing all the figures, because then we can extrapolate that, and if we continually do that for the next 3 quarters, we will be somewhere in a predicament where we will have a percentage fraud.
and again, the numbers of compliance seem so high because, again, I'll say it. Is it the employees who aren't marking down the data they're supposed to mark down? Because if they are, they would literally be checking each bag. They would open each cart, lift up all the bags to make sure. I mean, Ken said people are hiding them. People are doing this. One week they've got bags. The next week they're not. So let's see all this data written down. I want to see it. Can we post that data? Ken Pacheco claims he has the data. Let's see the data.
He just hasn't put it into the system yet.
Yeah. Either way, I'm down for I write all my notes. Nothing gets saved on the computer. It's all handwritten.
I'm pretty sure that if there was enough people that wanted to see that data, would you think that would you believe that a bunch of people would volunteer to put that in for them?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to throw that out there. Hey, Ken, if you're listening, or if someone's listening in that office.
It could be a pilot program. Those are the programs, so here's the thing. Somebody doesn't have enough money for that the monthly trash fee. If they're still going to do it, okay, you volunteer your time, 10 hours a week for the city of Fall River. You don't have to pay that fine. Let's work it out that way, man. Payment in lieu of taxes. They keep talking about that. They keep talking about other things. Man, let's just stop talking and do it.
Well, we got 3 more minutes. We got to keep talking. Sorry.
It was a great joke, by the way.
Oh, stop.
I guess everyone's listening to WSAR for some reason. I'm reading some messages and people listening to WSAR today.
I never talk to them.
That's-
I mean, I listen to them, not talk to them. I never listen.
Happened to City Talk Fall River. Happened to my people. I'm
Your
just
people.
We still actually have quite a bit of viewers.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of interesting.
that's great.
Well,
At any rate, I want to thank everybody for listening today. I think that this has been these past 2 years of politics have been probably the most intriguing, years of politics we've seen. I'm glad to have been involved and actually possibly a part of it.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens on Tuesday. But I do have a couple of things going on tonight, and then we'll see. We'll see, because it's coming down to the wire now.
yeah, we're within a week.
We present facts the best we can out here. We do welcome everybody's opinion, but if anyone wants to actually really challenge these facts that we brought to the table today, as far as Ken Fiola's comments, as far as Sam Sutter's comments and of Ken Fiola last night, of the registration of Jazel's car.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to talk to us about these things, feel free to call tomorrow. We will be on tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 to 11. Feel free to talk to us, to give us your information as what you think, if it's opposite of us, or if you agree with us, talk to us. Let it be. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
See ya.